back to the Bears Baseball Network. We have the BWL Draft night, and I'll tell you what, so excited for all of the draft picks to be made here. The BWL is the hottest winter league in the entire state of Missouri, and I'm so excited to get into this, Bernie. Starting with the 12-13U draft. Bernie, obviously close to home for you. This is, your age along with 12U Floyd, Rob's age, so maybe we'll see a little bit of an advantage from this side. Rob obviously knows that age a little bit better. We'll see how KJ comes with this one. The throwbacks are on the board for the first pick. And Bernie, really only two options for this pick. Harrison Blabaum, Rudy Montenegro Langley, I think are the two players on the board here. But Bernie, what do you think about this draft here, the 12-13U draft?
Yeah, a lot of good players. I think it's going to be fun. Obviously, I think that, Rob made the first overall pick pretty public at this point, so we all know what's going to be here. But yeah, it's going to be a great draft.
And we'll see if Rob sticks to his pre-draft notion. And he does. With the first pick of the 12-13U BWL draft, it is going to be Harrison Blabaum. Bernie, one of the best hitters in Bears history here, goes as the first overall pick. And Bernie, this guy, he was of the younger age last year, playing with the older guys in BWL, and still played very, very well. But this year, Bernie, he's the top dog. How impactful is he going to be in this BWL season?
Yeah, obviously, at worst case scenario here, I think he's the second best hitter. That's an absolute worst case scenario. He's a top three pitcher, worst case scenario. He's also one of the better defenders on the infield here. Really anywhere you want to play him, so he can really do it all.
Yeah, I think with the early round picks, you're looking for two-way contributions, three-way if you count defense as well. Versatility, Harrison really does it all. But I think the big thing you're getting is that bat. I think the second pick is pretty obvious, at least for me, Bernie. I would definitely take Rudy Montenegro Langley, but we'll see. It looks like the pick is on its way in here from the Pinstripes. Their first-round pick, the second overall pick. The pick is in. With the second overall pick of the 12-13U draft, it is going to be Rudy Montenegro Langley. And Bernie, all the things you said about Harrison can also ring true about Rudy. This guy, I think at worst is the second best hitter in the draft. I think, his floor is probably a little bit lower pitching, but his ceiling may be a little bit higher. He throws harder than Harrison. He maybe has more electric stuff. The command maybe not as good, but I think the ceiling's very, very high. And defensively, doesn't play as many positions, at least maybe not as well as Harrison, but is a lockdown catcher, Bernie. The third pick is in as well here, the first pick of the second round. And it is going to be Alex Vo, the rookie here, will be the third overall pick. So, Bernie, give me your thoughts on the start of this pinstripe draft. Rudy Montenegro Langley, Alex Vo, two-way players. Really good start to this draft, in your opinion?
Yeah, you got two-way players, like you said. You got the best catcher in the draft by a mile. You got, I think, the best shortstop in the draft as well. And also two great bats. So I think this has been a great start here.
Okay, we'll see how Rob responds here. I think KJ maybe with two of the more obvious picks here. We'll see what Rob does with his next two picks. With the fourth overall pick, the second pick of the second round, the throwbacks are going to go with Owen Lewis. And I'll tell you what, Owen Lewis is one of the best pitchers in Bear history. He is a very good hitter as well, a very good defender. I think if you get 10 weeks out of Owen Lewis, I think this is going to look like a home run pick at the 4 overall. It's just if you get those 10 weeks. But Bernie, Harrison, Owen, Rudy, Vo, I think it's impossible to tell the difference right now, but which duo would you rather start with?
Yeah, that's tough, man. Obviously, if Owen's there every week, I think that the combination of Owen and Harrison, Owen really put himself on the map this year. Is, I think, one of the best pitchers in the Bears. And pitching against Bears, he has that electric curveball that he can use, throw whatever he wants against Bears. That he plays even better. And obviously Harrison, one of the best hitters, pitchers, defenders here in the Bears as well.
And we'll see. I think this pick is very interesting, Bernie. I could have kind of guessed the first 4, but I'm not sure what's coming here, Bernie. With the 5th overall pick, the first pick of the third round, the throwbacks are going to go with Hunter Finley. And Bernie, is this what you expected here? I thought Fish Finley was a top 4-round pick. Goes 5th overall here. Definitely known for his pitching. A very, very good pitcher. The bat showed some upside this fall. Defensively, he's a little bit limited because he is a lefty, in the BWL. What do you think about that pick there, Bernie? Hunter Finley with the 5th overall pick.
Yeah, I think if you're Rob here, you got to bet on this guy being one of the top pitchers in the draft. Not to he's an outfielder, right? Outfielders get drafted high in the third round. It's usually because they're either a big bat or a big arm, one of the two. I think Hunter's got to fill that role as a big arm because the bat's got a lot better, man. But I don't know if the bat is top round 3 quality yet.
Yeah, but Bernie, I mean, this pitching staff, Blabaum, Lewis, Finley, a very dangerous pitching staff here to start. Let's see how KJ responds here. He's got Rudy, he's got Vo with the second pick of the third round, the 6th overall pick. It is going to be the first 12U player off the board, Bernie. Cooper Woolen is going to get drafted here with the 6th overall pick. Bernie, a big-time bat, a guy who can pitch, a guy who's a very impactful defender at first base. First 12U player off the board, Bernie, does this surprise you at all? Cooper Woolen, a nice pick here for the Pinstripes.
Yeah, look, I think at 12U there's a couple different guys that could have gone first, out of the 12U guys here. But I think Cooper's made the biggest rise in the past year. He's really kind of set the 12U world on fire, and he's a big bat. And like you said, he can do a bunch of different things for you if you need him to.
Yeah, he's a pro hitter and definitely a difference maker at first base. KJ obviously didn't get Harrison. Now he's got that first base position solidified. And you're looking at this infield right now: Rudy at catcher, Vo at short, and Woolen at first, looking very good defensively. With the first pick of the 4th round, the Pinstripes are going to take Kenny Douglas. Bernie, I know this is one of those guys who has really risen up the ranks for you over the past, over the course of the fall. A big-time player, Bernie, big-time hitter, can catch, can play the infield as well. With Rudy on his team, I imagine he'll be playing a lot of infield. Kenny Douglas, Bernie, I feel like you got to love that pick.
Yeah, this kid's a great hitter. I thought really the last half of the fall, he really, kind of had his breakout little, part of the season there. But you look at this team right now, he's the only guy I think that I would be confident catching Rudy. Back there with Rudy throwing 70. Kenny's done it before in games. He's very good. And look at the infield now. Cooper, Kenny, Vo and Rudy. This is a very good defensive infield.
Yeah, great defense. Obviously, Bernie, that was a good point there about him having to catch Rudy. I don't know if you want a 12U guy doing that. And we'll move on to the throwbacks pick here. The 8th overall pick, the 2nd pick of the 4th round. The throwbacks are going to go with Rowan Damschroeder. Bernie, I think this guy, everybody can agree, when he's at his best is maybe even a 3rd-round pick in this draft when he's at his best. I think the question is, how often are we going to see that? Rowan, when he is up there being aggressive, I think he's a top 4 hitter on that Burnsville team. I think when he's confident on the mound, he's a top 4 pitcher on that Burnsville team. I think if you get the best out of Rowan, this is going to look like a home run pick by week 5, week 6, Bernie.
I've said it for years about Rowan, right? If he stays out of his own head, if you can get him in the right approach, on the mound and in the batter's box, he's one of the best in the business. He can hit the ball just hard as anybody. He can throw the ball pretty hard, has pretty good curveball as well on the mound. Just again, if we can stay in the zone, we can stay in the batter's box being aggressive.
All 4 of the throwbacks' first 4 picks, Bernie, all can pitch. If you look at the Pinstripes pitch, you can make an argument all 4 of them can pitch as well. Maybe not as proven as the throwbacks pitchers. I think definitely the throwbacks have a little bit of the edge in the pitching staff. I think the Pinstripes have a little bit of the edge on defense. And then hitting is very, very close between the two teams. With the first pick of the 5th round, it is going to be the 9th overall pick. The throwbacks are going to take Owen Haynes. So another left-handed player. So again, not going to do a lot on the defensive side of the ball, but Owen Haynes, as far as two-way pitching and hitting goes, how can you not love this pick? This guy, a very good hitter, a strike thrower on the mound at worst, and I think could be one of the best 12U arms in this draft, Bernie. What do you think about that kind of 1-2 punch there with Damschroeder and Haynes here with the 8th and 9th pick?
And yeah, I think it's hard not to say Owen Haynes isn't the best 12U pitcher of the draft here. I thought he proved over the course of the season, had a 100 strikeout season. And he's been one of the best bats at that age now for going on 2 years at this point. So he's going to be a decent little player for this squad.
Yeah, I think if you get 10 weeks out of Owen Haynes, you're going to feel very good about that pick. And now the throwbacks here, their pick is on the way here. The 10th overall pick, the 2nd pick of the 5th round. The throwbacks are going to go with Bernie solidifying their infield. Hamilton Case is going to solidify the infield for this team. I mean, Bernie, what a defensive roster we have here. You got Vogt at short, you got Hamilton at 3rd, or Kenny at 3rd, and Hamilton at 2nd, or Kenny at 2nd. And then you got Cooper at 1st, Rudy at catcher. What a defense that you've got here. Hamilton, another one of those guys, top pitcher, top hitter. I think a really nice pick here to solidify this roster. What do you think of that pick, Bernie? Hamilton Case.
And yeah, 2 things I've learned about the Pinstripes. This team's going to be able to hit, and this team's going to be able to play defense. I think the pitching staffs still have a question here a little bit. I think there's some guys you can still grab here eventually, but this team can hit, man. This team's athletic, and this team can play some good defense.
Yeah, a lot of high ceiling in the pitching staff, just maybe some unprovenness out of this pitching staff, but gotta love the defensiveness of this team. I mean, defense, especially at the young age of BWL, defense can be the difference in some of these games. I mean, this defense is going to be rock solid. And KJ back on the clock here, the first pick of the 6th round in the 12-13U draft. KJ is going to go back up to 13U, Bernie, and take Braden Young, another player that I know you have liked a lot, especially over the past month or so. Another guy, he's got his defense solidified now. Now he can maybe look for those specialized players. You get a guy who not really going to pitch, not really going to play defense, but a big-time bat, potentially, Bernie, Braden Young. I think you could shoot for some upside here in this point in the draft. What do you think about that pick here? Do you think he could have waited a little bit, or do you like this spot here for Braden Young?
No, you got to love this spot. I mean, he's not, like you say, he's not going to pitch play defense here. But, when Braden joined the Bears, he was a very passive hitter. But the last month of the season, he was very aggressive up there. And he pretty much solidified himself as my sixth hitter starting on my team nearly every game. So this guy, I think, has all the upside in the world here for this winter.
Both these coaches favoring the older players so far in this draft. Now you're getting to the point where you're kind of looking at the back half of Burnsville versus still some of the top players left on 12U Floyd. And the throwbacks with the second pick of the 6th round, the 12th overall pick, are going to take one of those top players from 12U Floyd. Lucas Closter comes off the board. And I got to say, Bernie, I think he fell a little bit. I think, I could have seen him very easily being a 4th or 5th round pick. He falls here to the 6th round. I think a little bit of question about his defense, a little bit of question about his pitching. I think it's hard to question the bat. What do you think about Lucas Closter? I think this is great value for him here in the 6th round.
And yeah, I know when me and you were talking, you, KJ, some of the other guys were talking about this draft. I said personally I would probably take Closer as my first 12U kid. I think he's that good. I think he's that talented, that athletic, that this guy could easily end up being the best 12U player on the board.
Yeah, I mean, if he figures out the pitching side, obviously he's got the potential to be a great defender as well. I think this is a fantastic value for Lucas Closter here. The 7th round pick from the throwbacks is on the way, the 13th overall pick. It is going to be back to 13U, Bernie. Connor Kennedy coming off the board here. This is a guy, Bernie, I know you like a lot, see a lot of potential in. I think, he does have a flair for the clutch, for the dramatic. I think he's shown he can get hits in big spots. Defensively, can play a little bit of second, a little bit of third, a little bit of first. Got versatility there, and he can take them out if you need him to as well. I think he's a nice depth piece here, Connor Kennedy. I think you kind of took a high ceiling guy in Lucas Closter and a high floor guy in Connor Kennedy. A nice little, combo there. What do you think about this pick for Connor Kennedy?
Yeah, this is a guy you can stick in toward the bottom line, 5, 6, 7, and never have to worry about him. You can move him around defense. You can put him on the mound. He's going to take good at bats for you. This guy, if you put in the lineup, you don't have to worry about very often.
Yeah, I mean, Closter and Kennedy, I think, two good value picks in the 6th and 7th round. It's the 14th overall pick for the Pinstripes as they are on the way here to the draft table. What do we have here? The 14th overall pick, the 2nd pick of the 7th round. And Bernie, very fitting, Connor Kennedy just came off the board. Knox Kennedy is going to go right after. And Bernie, I'm not sure how much you've seen Knox play. I got to see him a lot this fall, being around that 12V team a lot. The more I watched him play, the more I liked him. I mean, this guy really has a great approach at the plate. He swings really, really hard. He doesn't chase a lot of bad pitches, but he also doesn't take strikes. Defensively, he doesn't look the smoothest, but he makes every single play at second base. And then pitching-wise, I think he's going to be a guy who can throw strikes. I think he's a very similar player to his older brother. What do you think about this pick here for Knox Kennedy?
Yeah, we'll see here. I haven't seen much of Knox. Everything I've heard is that, the first thing this guy can do is hit. And, I think he'll play here in the Pinstripes lineup.
Yeah, I think a very nice depth piece. When you got some of these infielders who pitch, I don't think Knox is a starting infielder for this team, but definitely can sub in here when you've got your guys pitching. Now, getting into kind of the back half of this draft, Bernie, I think this is where you can see things get a little bit wild. Coaches kind of going with who they like more than who they think they can get. With the first pick of the 8th round, it is going to be Trey Vonderheide who comes off the board here. And Bernie, again, I think some fantastic value here. Trey coming off a little bit of a rough fall, didn't have the best fall offensively, but I think everybody can see the potential's there. I think this guy has the potential to be a big-time bat. I thought he played well in the BWL last year as the younger guy in this league. Trey Vonderheide, I really like this pick, Bernie. What do you think here?
Yeah, he didn't have the greatest fall, had a good summer season, though. I still think he's one of the better hitters at the 13U age. Not to mention, man, I know they have some other defenders here that are really good. But the reason I was able to move Harrison to third for most of the fall is because of how good Trey was defensively at first base. I think he is very underrated in that category.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, probably the highest ceiling at the very least hitter left in the draft here. I think it was a great spot for Trey Vonderheide to go with the 2nd pick of the 8th round, making its way here to the desk. The 16th overall pick here is going to be Garrett Perkins. Another guy, Bernie, very safe, a guy who's going to make all the easy plays on defense, going to give you quality at bats. Another guy, it seems like Rob kind of loaded up on his stars early, and now he's kind of filling in the pieces with some role players. He gets Garrett Perkins, a guy who, going to run bases well, going to play solid defense, and going to take solid at bats, Bernie, and can even get on the mound if you need him to. A nice overall pick, Bernie. What do you think about the depth pick here for Garrett Perkins?
Yeah, like you said, this guy can do a little bit of everything. If you're ever in a spot, if you need strikes, you can put Garrett up there. You need to play man on defense, you can put him at second base. If you need a good at bat, Garrett can give you one of those every time as well.
And with the BWL, you can courtesy run for anybody. Garrett Perkins, I think, is a very good runner as well. The next pick here, the first pick of the 9th round, I think Rob's going to go ahead and get his catcher. He gets Carson Griffith. Carson Griffith, the really all-time catcher for that 12U Floyd team. He catches almost every inning for them. You look at this roster, really didn't have a legit catcher. I know Owen Lewis catches a lot, or catches sometimes, but you really don't want him to catch. He's so valuable at short or at third. You really don't want him to catch. Other than that, you needed a catcher here. You get Carson Griffith, a guy who can hit, pitch, play good defense. I think a nice pick there. What do you think about the Carson Griffith pick?
Yeah, at this point in the draft, the guys can do a little bit of everything if they have some value to the team, and I think Carson definitely has, some sort of value behind the plate or wherever for this team.
The second pick of the 9th round, it's going to be Colin Toms, and you get here the little bit of the depth pick. Bernie, Colin Toms, a guy, I got to be honest, I haven't seen play a lot, but definitely from his practice, a guy who works really hard, a guy who I think is going to develop a lot over this winter, and I think it's kind of a, risk versus reward pick. You got a late round pick here, a guy who could really develop over the next 5 months. What do you think about the Colin Toms pick, Bernie? I know you know this guy a little bit more than me.
Yeah, like you said, the kid's a very hard worker. And I said this to Colin. I've said this to a lot of my team too, that Colin's not always going to look the best doing everything. He's not going to look the best playing defense, look the best taking at bats. But he gets the job done. He put up some very good stats for my team this year.
With the first pick of the 10th round, it's going to be another guy kind of in that same boat as Colin Toms, Thomas Melka. Another guy, Bernie, that I know that you like a lot. I got to ask the question, Bernie, do you think Toms and Melka, KJ, could have got a little bit later? I don't know if Rob was necessarily looking for those guys at this point in the draft. Toms and Melka, though, I do think the upside really, really high for these two. What do you think about that kind of pick duo there?
Like with Melka here, Melka I don't think was really on anybody's radar until the last couple weeks of the fall season. I know JT Byrne really put him on my radar and then kind of went from there. He played with me last week, took some really good at-bats, came up with some big hits. He can also pitch as well. Toms and Melka can both go up there. Toms especially was one of Burns' best pitchers. He's going to throw strikes, and he could end up being one of the more valuable pitchers in this draft.
It's interesting that these teams are kind of taking differing approach, Bernie, in the late rounds. It seems like KJ is going for a lot of boom or bust, high ceiling guys, whereas Rob's going for kind of the safety net guys, the backbone guys. So it's interesting to see that kind of differential. We'll see if it continues to play out here. With the second pick of the 10th round, a guy who, Bernie, I could have very easily seen going a little bit earlier. It's Landon Durbin, a guy who is a very good defender. Looking at this roster, you have Owen Lewis, but you have Lucas Closer as well. But I think this guy's probably your shortstop. Defensively, no complaints about this player. Super good defensively. I think the bat is still a little bit of work in progress, but I don't think he's going to hurt you offensively. And he can pitch as well. So I think, again, a guy who can do a little bit of everything. I think you can question how high the ceiling is at the plate, but I think it's a very solid pick here with the 20th overall pick. The 11th round, we got 6 picks left here in the 12-13U draft. Still a lot of really good players left on the board. Again, if you do not get drafted, you can get picked up. Last year, 104 players got drafted, but over 150 players played in the BWL. So if you don't get drafted tonight, don't worry about it. You can still get picked up. So let's go ahead and see our final 6 picks. The first pick here of the 11th round is going to be James Rogers. This is a guy who I know Kennedy wanted, Bernie, and I know he's a guy that you like a lot. James Rogers kind of getting into that, a little bit more of the high ceiling. This guy, very solid defensively. But Bernie, what do you think about this pick? I know this guy you like a lot.
Yeah, this is a guy from day one since he joined the team I liked. I think he is one of the hardest workers when he's here. I think this guy, the progress he's made in the past 3 months, that we look at this draft in January, he could be an impact bat for a team, and he's going to play a decent little second base for you as well. I think this kid's going to make tremendous strides over the winter, and that's going to make a big impact on his BWL team.
That's the interesting thing about these rookies, Bernie, because you're not just drafting who they are right now. You're kind of projecting. We know how much better rookies get in their first winter with the Bears, so you got to kind of project where they're going to be in 6 to 8 weeks, because James Rodgers, he may look like a 11th round pick right now, but he could very easily be a 6th or 7th round pick come 6 weeks from now. With the second pick of the 11th round, the 22nd overall pick in the draft, this big-time back could have very easily gone a lot earlier. It's going to be Matthew Hume. And Bernie, I mentioned Trey Vonderhyde was maybe the highest ceiling bat left in the draft. I think at this point, Matthew Hume was definitely the highest ceiling bat left in the draft. A guy who does get devalued a little bit in BWL. He's a left-handed hitter. We know the BWL field doesn't quite, favor left-handed hitters. He doesn't pitch. He, doesn't play defense when it's an infield-only game. But with the bat exclusively, Bernie, a big-time hitter. Let's see who he pairs this pick with, Bernie, and then I'll ask you about both. He's going to pair this with Fletcher Chastain. So another guy, a left-handed throwing outfielder. So not a lot of defensive value, but Fletch can pitch, can hit a little bit. I know he's got a lot of potential. Bernie, what do you think about that combo there? Matthew Hume and Fletcher Chastain.
Yeah, with Matthew, you get a guy who was one of the top of the MVP race in the summer. And with Fletch, you get a rookie that I think has some high potential with the arm and a little bit with the bat as well. But definitely both sides of the ball here. You get someone who could be really good here in 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, Matthew Hume fell very far in this draft. I think he could have gone significantly earlier. But, I think Rob's approach has been kind of that pitching. He really wants a lot of pitchers, and he wants defensive depth as well. Matthew Hume doesn't offer those, but he definitely offers a big bat. The throwbacks have 2 picks left here. We have the second pick of the 12th round, the 24th overall pick. Coming to the draft board right now. This is a pick, Bernie, that I thought there was a chance it could be made. We talk about this as the 12-13U draft, but younger players below 12U can also be drafted as well. We thought this pick could be made. It's going to be Blake Nickerson, who comes off the board here. As far as 11U players, Bernie, go. If there was an 11U player to get drafted, it was going to be Blake Nickerson. He goes here late. Definitely, he's a 10U player, actually. Definitely a very high ceiling pick here. A 10U guy, Bernie, playing with 12, 13U guys. But Blake, as all the Nickersons have proven, they can play up. They can perform. Blake Nickerson here, big-time pick. Bernie, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I know this guy spent some time with Rob's team over the course of the year, and he always proved that he belongs, so I see no problem with it here.
Getting into the final round here of the 12-13U draft with the 25th overall pick, the first pick of the 13th round, the last round here. It is going to be Tucker Pawnell who goes here with the 25th overall pick. Bernie, this is a guy who, I believe in the future for this guy. I mean, this guy works too hard for it not to work out for him at some point. I think this guy is going to be, at the very worst, really good dugout vibes. At the best, I think he could offer some pitching value. I think he could offer some defense. I think he could offer some offense if he really puts in the work this offseason, which, if the track record shows, Bernie, he's definitely going to do. What do you think about that pick there, Tucker Pawnell?
Yeah, I think definitely this guy's going to provide some value with the bat first. That's where I would expect it to come from. But he's proven he can do some other things, like play a pretty good little first base as well.
With the final pick here of the 12-13U draft, it is going to be another high ceiling player for KJ. He's going to go with Gabe Brown, a big-time back potentially. Gabe Brown, I think when you're getting him at the 26th overall pick is a really nice value. Big-time bat potentially, Bernie. And if he doesn't hit, you spend a 13th round pick on him, doesn't really hurt you. What do you think about the ceiling here for Gabe Brown?
Definitely another one of those guys that if he swings the bat, man, he has all the power in the world. I know this guy KJ's like now for a while. He's worked in the free swing. He knows him better than most. I think KJ will be able to get him to perform here.
That's going to do it for our 12-13U draft. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with our 14-15U draft coming up next.